Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. We've got a family of over 1,000 and I'm so excited for that. So thank you guys for supporting my channel and coming along for the ride. Today's video is a little bit different. Rather than just sharing my own experiences, I thought I would bring my friends into this video and ask them what some of the things they wish they knew before they started their first year at UBC were. They're all in different faculties, they're all studying different degrees. Some of them are athletes, some of them are club members, some of them are literally just students going along for the ride. I thought that would be a really great way to get a whole bunch of different perspectives, but at the same time, see what students collectively have to say. So with that being said, let's jump right into today's video. Let's go. So the very first one that I want to hit home has to do with friends. This is always a really big concern for first year students because some of them are coming from out of province, out of the country, from the other side of the world. That is something that is very overwhelming and very stressful, and feeling as though you don't have anybody is one of the hardest things. One of the things that we all felt that we wished we knew before starting our journey at UBC was that you don't have to be friends with all the people that you meet. As I said, when you're coming to a new school, it's very easy to cling to people for the sake of clinging to people. And this is kind of what happens a little bit in your first week. And the great thing about UBC is that there are so many people, you can go and find the people that you really connect with. The other part of this is that you're really only going to stay in touch with a select few people. One of the biggest things is that some students get it in their head that they have to be friends with a certain group of people in order to succeed. Such a huge part of your friend network is having people that support you and understand you and enjoy being around you, and likewise you like being around them and you like to support them and help them through whatever they're going through. And it's a lot easier to do that and be successful at that when you actually spend time with the people you genuinely care about. Okay, so number 2, I'm gonna try to explain this to the best of my ability so it doesn't come off in the wrong way, but people don't care. When I say people don't care, I don't mean that people don't care about your well-being. I don't mean that people don't care about you. I more so mean they're not judging you based on the choices that you make, what you choose to wear, what you choose to eat, what sports you choose to play, where you choose to study, like all of that stuff. More often than not, people got a lot of stuff going on in their lives and they are not focused on what is going on in somebody else's. This is more coming from a place of telling you guys, don't be afraid to go and do something for the fear of what others might think. Everybody has so much going on, especially in first year, that the last thing on their mind is what you wore on Tuesday for lunch. Number 3 is something that my friends and I all think is incredibly important. Something that we wished we knew was that profs expect you to expand on the material and be able to apply it rather than directly regurgitate information. It's very much so about taking the concepts that you learn in class and applying them to a situation or an example on an exam and seeing how you can make connections between all the concepts covered in class. It is so beneficial to you to make sure that you know what is going to be happening in lecture before you actually get to lecture. That's the reason that they make you do all these pre-readings and pre-class quizzes and all that stuff. Another really big part of professors expecting you to be able to expand on material is approaching the content with an open mind. And that's something that is often really hard to do because coming from high school, you have a very set way of how you like to learn and how you take in information and how you process it. Kind of along the same lines, something else that my friends really wish they knew before going into university was that even though the content in some classes is relatively similar to that of what you learned in high school, you still need to study. More often than not, when you've already learned something, you get it in your head that you know everything there is to know about it and that you don't need to study and that you don't need to pay attention. But the reality is, you do. And a huge part of this is not underestimating the difficulty of exams. One of my friends pointed out that they thought because they were so confident in high school with their abilities to take tests that they wouldn't need to study for tests in university, and that seriously backfired on them. So just to kind of summarize that point here, the thing that we wished we had known was that you need to approach your material with an open mind, whether or not you have previously learned it or are just learning it for the first time. Now, I am going to make a bit of a generalization here. Based off my experiences in some of my classes and what some of my friends have told me, UBC consists of a lot of overachievers. Am I surprised? No. What I'm trying to get to here is that something we all wish that we had known going into our first year was that it is totally okay to fail. Whether that's literally fail or fail in your relative terms, it's normal. It's okay. It happens. Such a huge part of making sure that you are successful in your time at UBC is giving yourself the opportunity to explore more than just your academics. So not doing so well on a couple of assignments is totally normal and it's okay. And that's something you really, really need to understand. It's something that happens. I mean, I'll be honest here, like there were 3 midterms that I got like a 60 on and I was like, ooh, yeah. You know, you sit there, you take it in, you acknowledge that you haven't done as well as you want to. For me, I kind of go, you know what? It's one exam. It was 4 pages of double-sided paper with a whole bunch of scribbled pen. What's that really worth? That's something that my friends and I think is so important to acknowledge going into your first year. It's okay to not do as well as you want all the time, and as much as it doesn't always feel great, it's normal and it's something that you can get through, and 100% it is not going to be the be-all end-all to your time here at UBC. Another really big thing is that going into first year, there seems to be this idea that you need to have everything figured out before you've even started. You need to know what courses you're going to take, you need to know what specialization you're going to choose, what clubs you're going to join, whether you're going to join a sorority or a frat, like all of those things. At the end of the day, university is a journey, and something that I really resonate with, and my friends too, is that you don't have to have it all figured out. Usually when you're going to university, you're going for something specific. So it's kind of like, okay, you're here. So now you obviously know exactly what you're going to do for the rest of your degree. Boy, man, I have flipped and flopped. I still don't know what's happening with my degree. The amount of stress that I put on myself while trying to figure this out during my first year because I thought I needed to know. Like, I have no words because it was like, looking back, it was so unnecessary. It's hard because in the moment, you're so caught up with everything that's going on and you feel like you need to have it figured out. The reality is plans change. I mean, mine have significantly, and I'm becoming okay with that. It takes time to be comfortable with making decisions about your education sometimes just because you're so afraid of making the wrong one or you're not sure if that's really what you want. This is a unique journey for everybody. You have the time to figure it out and you have the opportunity to explore all of these different things. There isn't a wrong choice made. There's just a different path explored in your education. Try and keep that in mind when you're thinking about all of these other things that come after first year. Something else that my friends pointed out was that they wished they had known how much fun it would have been to join an extracurricular or an intramural, a club of some kind, whatever that looks like. I really wished I had made more of an effort to become a part of something like that because it is such a huge part of your experience and it gives you the opportunity to make those connections outside of your classroom. Something that my friends and I really wished we had taken the time to acknowledge was that first year was going to fly by. When they tell you high school goes by fast, first year is just a whole other level. And whether that's because you're spending so much time studying or going out with friends, you're in a new place, when you're caught up in everything that you're doing, your brain is just like on a rapid fire all the time and processing things at just like light speed, and it goes by very fast. It's just crazy. Something that I wish I had personally known before starting first year was how much I was going to change, more so from an emotional standpoint. This might sound weird, I don't know, but in high school, not to say I wasn't an emotional person, but I was very rational with the way that I thought about how I was feeling. And when I got to university, I just a little bit like system overload. There's lots going on in my head. It was really hard to manage that. For me, it was more of a shock because I wasn't really used to feeling that way before and I didn't really know how to cope with that. In the moment, it feels very overwhelming, but at the end of the day, you have yourself to count on and you've got other people in your life to count on. The nitty-gritty of it all really isn't that important sometimes, and you just have to be able to get past that and recognize that it's just one piece of this really big puzzle. A really big part of my first year experience was just acknowledging this and recognizing that it's okay for me to feel this way. It makes it really difficult when so many things in your life are changing and you're still trying to figure out how all of these pieces fit together. So the very last thing that I'm going to talk about is the commute. Sometimes there can be a pretty big misconception of how useful that time can be when you are commuting. For those who are driving, well, you're behind the wheel, so you're not doing anything while you're driving your car, hopefully paying attention to what's going on in front of you. For those of you that are commuting by transit, you're either on the bus or you're on the SkyTrain. Transit's busy, buses get full, seats aren't available, and more often than not, you'll be caught standing. Transit time isn't always particularly particularly useful because you don't necessarily have a way to open up a book and read or to sit down and take notes. Giving up 2 hours of your day is already a lot, and if you're giving up 2 hours of study time, that's even a little bit more costly. And that's just something that one of my friends pointed out to me. And one of them said they didn't mind the commute at all because they just listened to their music and that was their chill time. For people who find other ways to relax, whether that be actually playing music or going to the gym or painting or walking their dog, that's not something you can really do on the bus. So that's just something to be mindful of, and something that one of my friends really wished they had known before making the decision to commute to UBC rather than live in residence. Everything that I've talked about and everything that my friends had brought up were all things that I experienced too, and things that I really wish I had known. At the end of the day, these are all things that you will come to learn on your own, but sometimes just being aware of them beforehand makes it feel a little easier to manage and process, because then you're not going, oh my god, what is this? It's not as much of a surprise when you're aware of it and have the time to kind of think about it and process it and prepare yourself for some of the things that you might experience. I also need to give a special shout out to all of my friends who sent me a little bit about what they wish they had known before starting their first year. Thank you to all my lovely friends, you know who you are, for making this video a bit more of a reality. And thank you to you guys for watching and supporting my channel. I really do appreciate that. If you liked this video, please let me know down in the comments below, or feel free to send me an email or a DM, whichever you like. You could also hit that like button too. You know, I'm always doing those good old thumbs ups. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye!